Alright folks, welcome back to Deep Dive Survivor. Guess where I'm to now? I'm down in Burgoynes Cove, which is about 2.5 hours from St. John's, north of Clarenville. And we're gonna go investigate a crash site. You can see the sign here behind me. It's the USAF RB-36 plane crash site. Plane just like this crashed here in Newfoundland. This happened back in 1953. I'm going to tell you a bit more now once we get a bit closer. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. It's a beautiful Sunday. High winds. Hopefully we can get the drone up on site. Well folks, this is about as far in as I can get in the old Corolla, and throughout my research I didn't realize there's 4 kilometers of dirt road, and it was actually pretty good dirt road up to this point. I'm 3.1 kilometers in out of that 4, so I'm gonna have to hike the rest of the way. And we're parked right at the end of a logging path there. So hopefully the boys aren't up in that trail today, because I'm parked right up against their little bridge over the stream there. So we've only got 2 hours before it's pitch dark. Probably a bit too late in the day to be coming out at this. So for emergency supplies, I brought 2 bottles of water and 1 muffin. So that should sustain me with enough energy for at least 3 or 4 hours. And we got a flashlight. It's mid-November right now, so it gets dark here around 4:30 p.m. Right now it's 2:30. We got about 1 kilometer to go on this dirt road, and then we should come to a trail that leads up on the top of the ridge. I believe the crash site is on the top of this mountain that's in front of us here. Up towards the top of this ridge up here. Kind of rushed into this. Probably should have worn my hiking boots. I just got my sneakers on. So the plan for this plane was, it was during the Cold War of 1953, and they were trying to test out the air defenses of North America. And so it was a secret mission. Several B-36s took off from the Canary Islands, and the plan for this specific plane that crashed here in Newfoundland, its mission was to fly north over the Atlantic Ocean until it got to close to Maine, and it was supposed to turn and fly over the continental US and enter over Maine. And they were under complete radio silence. It was super confidential mission in order to test their own defenses, and they were pretending it was like a mock bombing run. So they wanted to see if they could penetrate their own air defenses with the newer technology that they were employing at the time. And so these planes were flying at less than 500 feet. They weren't using any of their modern equipment that they normally use to fly. They had to maintain complete radio silence, and they were just using old school sextants, an old aviation instrument that is not 100% reliable. And they were given the weather forecast for the next 23 hours when they took off, and the weather changed once they got up close to Maine, the northeast coast of the Atlantic, up past Maine and close to Newfoundland. The weather had changed and there was a low pressure system going on, a bit of a storm, and it blew them off course. And being so low to the ground and using very minimal instrumentation for flight, they hadn't realized that they had completely flown by Maine and drifted further north off the island of Newfoundland. So when they turned to come in overland in what they thought was Maine, they were actually flying in over Newfoundland Island. And because they were flying so low, cloud cover and heavy fog, and I believe it was late at night, because it crashed in March, which is middle of the winter. It's probably pitch dark around 4 or 4:30 p.m. and a bit of hunting in the area. I don't have my blaze orange on. But so they ended up crashing on the ridge of this mountain here somewhere. And the locals in the town heard a loud explosion and hiked through deep snow for up to 2 hours. There's another gunshot there that time. Somebody's getting their moose today. And when they got to the crash site, they realized that all 23 servicemen had perished. There were no survivors. The wreckage was strewn over a distance of 500 feet on the top of the ridge. And everything was torn to pieces except for one of the wings and a large portion of the tail of the aircraft. Still visible today. So I'm hoping we'll be able to find it here. There was a couple signs on the way in directing me this way, so I'm hoping once I get around the 4 kilometer mark, you'll see another sign there for the trailhead. It's a beautiful pond here next to us. So when the locals went to investigate what happened on the ridge, they wanted to alert the police of the plane crash, and so a few of the gentlemen got in their rowboats and actually rowed to the next town across the harbor on Random Island. And they were able to call the RCMP, who then called the Canadian Air Force, and they dispatched a plane from Gander of the same size, another B-36, I believe it was, or something almost as big. And that plane had 10 servicemen aboard. They were trying to pinpoint the exact crash site, and they were unsuccessful in finding the crash site, and so they turned back to fly back to Gander, and that plane also went missing. The crash site was never found. The plane and the 10 servicemen aboard that plane were never found. So it was a very, very bad luck day for the Air Force. 2 planes went down. The locals then got their chainsaws and cleared out a landing pad for the army to come in with a helicopter and retrieve all the bodies of the servicemen and bring them to the American Air Force Base Fort Pepperell in St. John's. So they were flown to Gander first, then flown to Torbay, and then brought to the American military base in St. John's down in current Pleasantville, close to Kitty Vitty Lake. It's a really pretty area out here. I've got a flashlight to help me on my way back. I got some winter gloves. It's about 3 degrees Celsius, so just above freezing. Hit the like button, guys. We're gonna go try to find a very old crash site here. This pond continues on all the way down here. So there's actually a slate company, Newfoundland slate company, on the dirt road on the way into this site. And it looks like there's a pile of slate here. They must be harvesting or mining it very close by. Very brittle slate. Here we have a hidden beach. Beautiful waterfall coming out right here. Huffing and puffing here now, you guys. Look at the steep hill I'm climbing. The calves are on fire. Okay, we got a couple signs here. USAF RB-36 crash site. Half-hour walk. Right now it's 3:30. So that gives us 1 hour total to make it to the site, film it, send up the drone, and make it back out to this road. So it's gonna be dark on the way back for sure. But I got a brand new flashlight here, so I'll be fine. Check out the trail here. Last night we had 15 or 20 millimeters of rain. A little resting bench here. So I can hear some waterfalls raging real close by here. Hopefully they intersect our path. So I shouldn't have said I hope the waterfall intersects our path, because that's exactly what happened. The stream is coming right down the trail. And here's the original path to the stream. Whoa, slippery rocks. Gotta be careful I don't snap an ankle off out here. There's no reception. And we're losing daylight fast. Water actually comes right out of the ground right there. You can hear it's really hollow sound. It's coming out right here. It's pretty treacherous. The last 20 kilometers on the way into Burgoynes Cove, the road is not fit either, you guys. It says 50 zone, but you can't really do much more than 30 because there's so much pavement busted off and washed away. Some of the lanes are only 3 feet wide instead of 8 or 10. So you got to drive on the other side of the yellow lines to stay on the pavement. I read that the climb is steep, but not too long. Hopefully we get there with enough daylight. Whew! I'm really feeling it here now. The water is going right down through the trail. Not in very good shape at all. They were not lying when they said moderate to difficult trail. It's not maintained at all, as you can see. But I feel like we're getting close to the top now. It's cracked right in half. You see, it was just torn. I've got to be very careful climbing amongst this. Everything is super jagged, very sharp. Even the rocks are. Wow. Rest in peace, you guys. There's the carriage for the a gun turret on the back of the tail, I believe. ID tag on the tail says 51-13721. This looks like another turbine engine right here. Debris all the way along here, guys. Even up here on the ridge. That's another section, that large section of the wing. And this here would be part of the fuselage, I would imagine. Hit the like button if you guys find this interesting. I only learned about this crash site probably 6 months ago, and I'm 45. Walk between the lines. So was that part of the roof? The roof of the fuselage, the body of the plane? Looks like we have another turbine engine here. Or is that one of the turbojet engines, you guys? I believe this is the hydraulic cylinders for the landing gear, pulling up and lowering the landing gear. Some more pieces up there. The heavy steel component there. You can tell even the steel was sheared. See the shear marks there on the steel? Some of the electrical components here. Somewhere there. The debris field is huge, you guys. I've been walking for quite a bit. I'm still finding pieces all over the place here. They must have been coming in at a very high rate of speed. This looks to me like it's the undercarriage, the bottom half of the belly of the plane. And it looks like there's like tracks there for loading and unloading equipment into the plane. See, there's tracks, like structural I-beams there. Okay, I see a set of wheels over here. This stuff is twisted right up and sharp as razor blades. Every step has to be calculated here. See some markings here. This might have been one of the doors or something. 36F11109-9 bottom. VLT PHR number 252. It just keeps going on and on and on. It's going, here's another set of wheels right here in the woods. Wow, these are massive. They're about 36 inches high, I guess, or more. Probably 3.5 feet high. And the piston goes down that way. Maybe they made contact here. It's hard to tell what direction they were flying in. The tail is up there, but most of the body and the wheels are down in this ridge. Maybe they were headed in this direction here, which is kind of northwest, judging by the sun. I'm not sure how much further the debris goes down over the hill here. I see something else right there. There's another piece down there. I can't see much else down that way, so we'll go back towards the top, very top of that ridge. I'll show you the other set of wheels that I saw. This is a huge crash site. An enormous amount of debris. Alright folks, I was right. We're just coming up on top of the ridge here now. I only walked another 20 feet and I can tell we're up on the top here. The sun is shining right through, and I see my first piece of plane wreckage here. It looks like a piece of the wing. Super wet here. My feet are getting wet here now. Here's another piece. because it's all aluminum, it's not rusting at all. Looks still very shiny and much like the day that it actually came down here. So they must have struck the ridge fairly low, like on the right where the ridge comes towards the top, and pieces are strewn all the way up. There's another piece in here. The strange part is this is not open to the open sea, to the open Atlantic. Were they coming from the other direction, heading this way? That's probably the case. So the actual crash site is probably on the very top of the ridge here, and the debris field just kept going from the momentum. I see some bigger pieces up on the next little ridge here. There's one of the turbine engines. So this RB-36, the R stands for reconnaissance. It was outfitted, modified with a reconnaissance camera up in the front. It took seven servicemen to operate the camera alone. And these planes could fly with 80,000 pounds carrying capacity, a maximum range of 17,000 kilometers. And I believe their top speed was 700 miles per hour. I'm not 100% sure on that. But these were huge. They were used in the Second World War for fighting the Nazis, fighting Germany in the Second World War. Here's one of the turbines. Somebody carried the wood up here to build a picnic table. That was no easy task. I believe this might be the camera we were just talking about. Wow. So folks, this plane, the RB-36 model, actually had 10 engines on it at one point. There were 6 turbines and 4 turbojet engines, which gave them such long range and heavy carrying capacity. One of the propellers are on the top of the ridge there. That's the memorial to the 23 servicemen who lost their lives here. I see some more over here. Just going to keep exploring through the area. The tail section is probably up behind that prop. So I know that the majority of the tail is still intact. The US Air Force actually did come into the crash site and removed all their sensitive equipment. Equipment that they didn't want any other countries to find, right? All top secret stuff, the instrumentation that they use. Quite a wide. It's a very large debris field. You only see one of the turbine engines so far. There's quite a bit over there actually. Pretty rugged terrain. And I'm pretty sure that logging road was not in place back in 1953. So the locals had a really hard time to climb this mountain in 2 feet of snow. I had a hard enough time just coming up with no snow. So, actually just saw a snowflake here. And the sun is going down fast. Really should have left a little earlier, because there's a lot to see here. It was torn all to very small little pieces. You can tell this was a catastrophic crash here. There's something moving in the woods there. Hopefully it's just a moose and not a black bear. Okay, here's the tail section. I believe that's parts to another turbine, so that's probably turbine number 2 down in this little gully here. Hello! There's something making noise in those woods there, guys. Actually pretty windy. I don't think I'm going to be able to send the drone up. But the majority of the wreckage is right here. Look like pieces to another turbine. The aluminum cracking in the wind there, that might have been what I heard. What an ominous sight here, guys. I believe this is the cast of one of the turbine engines there. So here's the other set of wheels that I saw. Even the rim is cracked there. Look at the size of the steel. This is the one component that had to be solid steel, I guess, for the landing gear. The rest of it seems like it's lightweight aluminum. But there's even parts of this landing gear that got sheared off from the impact. See, there's major shear action going on there. I mean, look at the size. That's about a 12-inch across piston there for the landing gear. Really nice views from up here. Well, folks, the wind died off. It was a major change from this morning. We had 75-kilometer-an-hour winds and sheeting down rain, and the sun came out and the wind is absolutely gone. Sun actually just went down for the day, but so I've got to start hiking out of here. Tell me in the comments, what do you guys think of all this? This happened in March 17th, 1953. 23 souls were lost here, and another 10 in the second plane that came to look for them. Very tragic day in our history, and it's kind of interesting to see exactly what happened here. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button, comment down below what you think of all this. We'll see you on the next one. Deep Dive Survivor.